understand what the hell was going on. These people had stones in their living room as ornaments. Fucking stones in your house. They should be in the garden. Using words that I'd never heard of before. But what I really liked about Penny Rambo and G was that for the first time in my life, if they asked me a question, or if I said something, they'd answer me and treat me as an equal. And it's the first time I'd ever had that, so I kept going back to visit. So when me and Penn were starting Crass, we could just take it didn't matter, it really didn't matter. Because I just used to live with my parents in Dagenham and whatever I said, because I was into poetry and all this sort of stuff, and I'd discovered a bloke called, I'd read a book by a guy called Oscar Wilde, called The Picture of Dorian Gray. I really got into poetry and started writing my own poetry and, yeah, sort of writing songs because I wanted to be David Bowie. But my mum and dad always sort of said, oh, you know, you'll never do it in, you know, the usual working class thing, you'll never do it in factory. But for the first time, when I first met Penny Rambo and G, I was, for the first time, listened to as a human being or as an adult, even though I was only 13 years old, and tried to talk out of my little arsehole about Walt Whitman or something, having a conversation with a bloke who was older than me, who'd been to college and sort of done things. I just thought that was fantastic. And for the first time, someone was actually interested in my opinion, and I'd never read that before, and that's a pretty, you know, that's a pretty big thing. And so when it was Crass, it was the same thing. There wasn't, we were just friends, you know, and I'd always respect him for that. He's always respected that for me, you know. And we really did blow away that upper class, working class divide, and we were just two guys doing it.
We all lived in the same house. You couldn't have Crass without what was happening in our personal lives. It was all so interwoven, you can't separate them. So it never stopped. It wasn't like we went to the rehearsal studio and then played Crass. The rehearsal room was in our house, so it was like, right, okay, then what are we doing tomorrow, rehearsing? It never stopped. The phone was ringing, people were coming to visit all the time, you know, punks coming to camp in the garden and all this kind of, so you never got away from it. And the experience for me was just it never stopped, and it was a lifestyle. A good one. I wouldn't change, you know, I wouldn't change it. We never had rules. For example, if with 15 people living in the same place, if there was washing up to be done, it wasn't, you know, there wasn't a rota and on Wednesday Steve does the washing up. You just did it. And the whole way of living like that was, well, consideration for other people first.
Is it well and truly stuck? Is it well and
Has it
truly
gone?
stuck?
No, it's still up there. So I just come back to just getting...
Mick's taking some film.
What?
Quick, get in it.
Quick. Oh, don't pretend.
It's just I was getting like so fucking swamped with those flyers, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you want some help or something?
Eh?
Do you want some help?
No, it's nothing to do with it.
How high is
Stay
it?
up there.
Right at the top, but I think it's only held by about 2 branches. As usual. What?
You don't look cool.
Not at all, just a few.
Yeah, you were. In 1967, I found the place. Well, I'd spent about a year driving round the southeast of England, sort of looking for somewhere. In those days, people, wouldn't have dreamt of moving into somewhere like this. Nowadays, they're very fashionable, very, very valuable. I saw a film, it's the end of The Sixth Happiness. There's a movie about Chinese inns, and they had this tradition of people turning, like walking to the inn, and then they would tell their story, then the next day they'd move on and go somewhere else. And I was rather inspired at the idea of sort of opening up somewhere where people could come and they'd sort of pay for their supper and a bed by telling a story. That was my romantic idea. And my romantic idea was that if people liked it, they'd do something similar. So by now, 40 years later, or 38 years later, I thought there'd be hundreds of places like this right across Britain. But in fact, no one, as far as I know, has ever attempted to recreate the system that this place works on, because, as you know, it's not a commune, it's an open door. Most communes manage to survive based around some sort of ideology or religion or whatever, and I'm not interested in sort of shared ideologies or religions. And the open door policy, which is the one we have operated on since then, allows people to come and it allows people to go, and it allows conflicts to develop and allows loves to develop, all sorts of things without any condition. It's a very unconditional state of affairs. And creatively, I suppose that was reflected in the sense that, if someone said, "Oh, can I join the band?" and there wasn't any question as to yes or no. I mean, it was an automatic, of course you can, what can you do? And it didn't matter if they couldn't do anything at all, like Andy. I mean, he hadn't got a clue what to do with the guitar, but, he got one and made a noise on it, so that's good enough.
We kind of got very excited about, the punk scene when the first wave of it seemed really exciting. At last, there was a youth culture growing that was saying, well, just fuck off, and all the rest of it. Well, we felt it was, but then it started to sort of sour for us because I suppose the idea of no future was sort of not in our realm. I suppose, we were accused of being old hippies. Well, fine, the old hippies had a dream and we still dream it, and still aim for that, and which is about coming together. And, that's difficult in itself. So I suppose we took up that area of music and expression because none of us were musicians particularly. And the whole ethos was just get up and do it, just express it. I'm not a great stage person, so it suited me with Crass to, do the artwork and film work and anything else I could, write songs. And the artwork was really the covers. Yeah, I mean, it was really the involvement with the whole aesthetic of presentation, really, because I think it's really, really important. It's another language. I mean, and we were all very interested in not only the words, not only the sound, but the presentation and how we could try something very new and try to cut through and find a new language, really. It seems to have been very positive for a lot of people on different levels. I mean, hopefully it didn't, well, I know it didn't come over as dictatorial at all in what we were trying to say. I think obviously came over very angry.
they fucking do. Giving that it's up to the other nation. But it's so well up, I'm sleeping dead. Giving that drama, something like that.
Good Lord!
Quick, get out of here. Yeah, I'm off. I should go off with this. There's some in that one. Can you turn the other one off for us?
Yeah.
Matthew?
Hey! It's Ron!
Would you see the fire from your sanctuary of death? What terrible pain you need to hide. In your hatred, you'd seek to destroy the earth. What is it that you have been denied?
It will fulfil a lot of the needs we feel for a standard family that would live there. It won't do everything, okay, but as a start, as a way of reducing the impact on needing supermarkets, we thought that was one way we could start.
What now? Now you would destroy the earth. Drive riverbeds. What now? Now in your control, birth and death, dry the bodies.
What we're doing this weekend, we're running a basic introduction to permaculture weekend. It's looking at just different ways, sustainable living really. It's looking at ways we can grow our food sustainably, build sustainably, build sustainable housing, forestry management, water management, all kinds of aspects of human life really that we can actually do in more sustainable ways than we are currently in our culture at the moment.
To absorb it and seal it so that you don't get smells, you know.
Lifting the
Will is it supported by anything then? Will it, I mean, that looks a bit precarious, like you could fall.
Yeah, I mean, well, you'll get used to it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's all going to be boxed in, and there's going to be a structure.
There'll be a surrounding structure.
Yeah, that was just that's just a demonstration, honest.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, you know what I thought? Up there there's two desks which actually are still as desks.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we could use one of them because they're double lidded. Look, and that fits
Yeah.
as a sort of, so to use the bog you lift that up,
Yeah, that would.
and the other
totally
one
enclose.
could enclose the
Yeah.
grass or whatever, and it would look neat.
It would.
It's ready made with
'Cause
hinges.
we need to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got to have that space, haven't we?
Yeah.
Well, there was this idea of going and get another spade.
Mine.
A bit zapperish.
Oh, it's
lovely lad.
Yeah. I think we should.
You can actually see it go down.
Shall I
too.
drop one?
No!